heck is buying this?
Guys, I found another Etsy bestseller without a lot of competition, and to be honest with you, this one surprised me. It kind of blew me away. I mean, it looks easy enough to build. It's just made out of some pine, some wire mesh, a little bit of stain. What surprised me is it seems like it's kind of a niche item. So I'm surprised that it's a bestseller and so many people are wanting to buy this and it's selling for such a high profit.
Shut up and take my money.
And I don't think this is just for Etsy. I think this would do great at your local markets too. So in today's video, we're gonna see if this bestseller is worth building, if we could put our own spin on it, and if it's easy enough for you to build yourself. So let's get to building. So we're gonna start with this 1x10 and we're gonna cut two 9 3/4 inch pieces off of it. So now you're gonna make the boards you just cut look like this. So the first thing we need to do is find the center of our board. And my board is about 9 3/16. So center is somewhere between 4 5/8 and 9/16. So probably about right there. Then I like to flip it and double check it to see how close I am. Then I'm gonna mark a line down the center. Now, if you have one of these digital angle finders, you can set it to 30 degrees and then make your line. And if you don't have one of these, get yourself a scrap piece of wood, set your saw to 30 degrees, lock it in, and cut yourself a template. And then you can use that by just lining up the edge of the boards and make your mark. If not, you could just take this right over to the miter saw and cut it and just aim for that line. Sometimes it's hard to see the peak, even with a laser and everything when you're cutting. So I would sneak up on it until you get right there. Okay, so now we just need to find this knuckle where the two angles come together on the roof. And to do that, you just need to measure down from the peak, put the point of your ruler at the peak and come down 3.5 inches. And do the same thing on this side. If you got the digital angle finder, set it to 60 degrees. If not, cut you another scrap using the 60 degrees on your miter saw. Or the simplest, just set your miter saw to 60 degrees and aim for that line right there. I'm gonna use the digital angle finder. I think this thing is less than 20 bucks. I'll leave a link for it in the description if you guys wanna get one. Like I said, it's not necessary for the job. I just like having a line to reference and then just cut those points off at 60 degrees on your miter saw. So now you can take your board, use it as a template for your second one, put it right on top, line up the bottom and the edges and just trace it out. Ta-da! And then cut that out on your miter saw. Okay, my two ends are cut. And if I can brag a little bit here, I'm always giving you guys badurr moments. Look at this. Look at how close these two are to being the same, and I didn't cut them together. Look at how close that is. That is not bad for somebody who grew up under high power lines. Okay, so we can call these our ends, and I'm gonna make some sides out of some 1x2s like this. Okay, so I want the total length of this to be 20 inches. So I gotta deduct my two sides, which are 3/4 of an inch thick, and that leaves me with 18.5 inches. So I gotta cut 4 1x2s at 18.5 inches. I set up my stop on my miter saw stand so that all the pieces come out to be the same size. Okay, I got my 4 1x2s cut, and I need another 1x2 to go across the inside here. And the measurement looks to be about 7 3/4 ought to do it. The next piece I need is to fill this in right here. This piece is gonna go up here like this, and I'm gonna need a little piece in between here. So the height of this is about 5 3/8, and then I gotta take away 3 inches for these two pieces. So that leaves me 2 5/8. Can you see how tall I cut that? I cut these the wrong size. Instead of 2 3/8, I did 2 5/8. I just reversed the number. So the last boards we need to cut besides the handle are 3 boards that are gonna go across the bottom of the inside. Now that measurement should be as easy as just taking your 18.5 sides and minusing off, what the heck's wrong with me? Subtracting your 2 end pieces right here. But don't assume they're 3/4 of an inch because mine are not. My boards are closer to 11/16 than they are 3/4 of an inch. So together I'm about 1 3/8. So I gotta take 1 3/8 away from 18.5, and that'll be my inside boards. Since I'm a master of the lazy side of the Force, let me show you an easy way to do this.
The Force is strong with you.
My stop block is still set up from when I cut the 18.5-inch pieces. So all I gotta do is take my two ends, put them right here, slide my board up against them, and that's where I need to cut. It should be the exact size I need. Okay, so I got all my pieces cut except for a handle. The handle I'm gonna cut out of this dowel. I think it's a 7/8 dowel. Before I assemble it though, I need to sand everything down, and I wanna cut a slot around the inside of this window because I'm gonna put a piece of fencing in there or mesh, and that's gonna act as like a window. So I want the groove to be about 3/8 deep, so I got a little spacer here that I'm gonna use to mark it off. The depth you put your fencing isn't real important. I want mine to be about 3/8, so I'm gonna put it up about there. I'll show you an alternative too if you don't wanna do the fencing. And then the space between the blade and the fence, I'm gonna put at 5/16. Now half of 3x material is usually 3/8. Mine's a little bit thinner, but you don't want the blade to be started halfway through. You want to split the blade. So about 5/16 ought to do it. Have you ever left the spacer next to the blade and then turned it on? You forgot to take it out? Me neither. I've read it on Reddit before, but I've never done it.
He's a liar and he's crazy.
Now, I'm not the sharpest bulb in the box, so I marked all the outside of my boards, and then I put an arrow pointing to the side of the board that I wanted to cut the groove into. Then I aligned them all up like this, so I made sure I didn't mess it up. And then I only made one pass on each board because the mesh I'm going to use isn't really that thick. And if you guys are liking the video so far, we're almost 8 minutes in. If you guys can like, make sure you leave a little comment for me. Maybe share it with somebody. If you know somebody you don't like, I'd appreciate it. So I got this mesh left over from another video I did. I just got it from Home Depot, and it comes in a pretty big roll. I want to say it was like 20 bucks, but I've had it for a few years, so I have no idea. I mean, if I look it up, I'll put it in here somewhere. I'm gonna cut a piece to stick in between inside the little window opening. The piece I need is 16.25 by 3 inches. 16.25 by 3 inches. Before I install the mesh and glue them together, I'm gonna sand the inside edge where the groove is because I won't be able to do it later once I get the mesh in, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when I'm sanding small boards like this on the belt sander, I hold two of them together because it's easier to hold them straight. Otherwise, if you're just holding one board, you can sand an angle into it. Something like this. I did this as a sample so I could show you. This stuff's really easy to cut, or I should say it cuts very easily. You can use just some little nips to cut it. You can use something like this to cut multiple at a time. It's just hard to get it to unroll, and it's very sharp on the edges, so it wants to scratch you. But I fight cats for a living, so my skin's kind of impervious.
He does what?
So I'm gonna mark it at the 3-inch mark, cut this all the way across. If I wasn't so lazy, I would have like put a 2x4 on it or put some clamps on it or something, but I'm lazy, so I'll just sit here and deal with it rather than get up. That's why I wear safety glasses. See how I keep swiping this thing by my face? Mine's a little curved, so I'm just rubbing it on here to get it flatter.
You perv!
Got a bunch of the little nubs sticking up. I'm gonna trim all those off. Well, bam, what do you guys think? So now I just need to cut one more like that for the other side, and then I'm gonna glue them together. Okay, so now it's time to glue it all up. I wanna make sure the pieces that say out are all facing down because that's gonna be the outside of my box, and I want it to be flush. So everything sitting flat on the table is gonna be flush. And then I put a framing square and I clamped it down to my bench, and that way when I'm gluing this up, I could push it into this corner and make sure the whole thing is square as I'm gluing it. It's pretty hot in my garage today, so this glue is gonna dry really fast. Like it's like 85, I think, in my garage right now. 83. We're up in the triple digits out here in Vegas now. If it's easier, you can give this part a second to tack up because as soon as I put this in, because the way it's twisted, it wants to pull them out of position. This is real close to the way you make shaker style cabinet doors. So if you get this down, you're real close to being able to make your own shaker style cabinet doors. Then I'm gonna lay it flat now, push it into this corner so I make sure everything is square. Make sure these are pushed all the way to the table. Now I'm gonna clamp it. There you go, one down, one more to go. Now, if you guys decide you don't like the fencing, it's too much trouble, you can always just do something like this. Cut yourself 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch piece off of another 1x2 or any 1x material, and then you could put that across the middle. I think that would be kind of neat looking too, because you'd have two thick ones and then a thin one across the middle. Now, sometimes when you put clamps on one side like that, it's trying to bow this out. It's trying to bow in towards the clamps. Once you get it up, you could put another clamp on the other side to equal it out. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on any of these clamps, just enough to hold it together while the glue dries. Okay, so while the sides are drying, I want to cut in the loft windows. You know the little loft area in the barn that's above the door? That little window thing? I want to cut that in. I'm gonna put my window right under this line that I made. The line goes from the knuckle to the other knuckle, and then I'm gonna put this, that's gonna be the top of the square. I'm gonna use this 2x2 to make the square. I'm gonna find the center of this. Oops. I'm gonna bring that center line all the way to the edge. Then I could just match the two center lines and make sure the edge of my board is right on the edge of that other line. And then I'm gonna trace this out. I'm gonna use a 3/8 inch bit to drill a hole in each corner, so that way I can fit my jigsaw blade in there. Ooh, I'm a little over that one. Then I'm gonna use my jigsaw just to connect them all. Quabam, barn window. I'm starting to think that the styrofoam doesn't work real good when you're using the scroll saw blades, because I always get curves. I think it's curving the blade out. So I moved my board to the end of my bench and just clamped it to the bench to try to clean up the cut that I just made. And I ended up having a big badurr moment instead. I was trying to straighten my cut with a wood blade, and look what I did. I went way off. Badurr! So I had to go up like 1/4 inch to square the window off better. I think I'm just going to put some window trim around this later to cover this all up and make the windows look better. Okay, my two side panels are dry and all my pieces are ready. It's time for my favorite part of every build. I get to sand and sing my sanding song. Just sand it, sand it. No one takes the time to sand it.
2 hours later.
Now I'm still sanding after all this time, looking like a real woodworker, but I can't cut a straight line. I'm still sanding, yeah, yeah, yeah. I got all my boards sanded. Now it's time to assemble the inside. The way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna use these spacers. These spacers I cut out of this scrap piece of wood, and they are 13/16, which is a little bit bigger than 3/4. I was looking for 3/4, but actually these are almost too small because I have a little bit left over. I'm just gonna split the difference on the two ends where the bigger walls are gonna go. So these will be evenly spaced, and then they'll be a little bit bigger on each side where the wall is. And I'm gonna attach this part to the barn with 2 screws through here. So I'm gonna make a mark right here. It's gonna be in between but above. And a mark right here. And now I'm gonna pre-drill these two in my vise to make it easier. Okay, for anybody that likes measurements for these pilot holes, I came in 2 5/8 inches from each edge and then down 3/8 of an inch. So for each bottom slat, I'm pre-drilling it with a countersink bit. Then I'm putting a little bit of wood glue. I'm using those spacer blocks to keep the equal spacing all the way across. And then I'm using 1 screw for each slat. Now this side should be even easier. I just got to put the spacers in and then just repeat that whole process for the other side. Before I finish assembling this whole thing, I want to stain the barn fronts. And I got this crazy idea for a color. I don't know why, it just came to me. I'm like, you know what would look good on this? This one stain that I got. It's called Barn Red. You know, when you're an artist at my caliber, sometimes stains just leap out at you from nowhere, you know? Quabam, Barn Red. What do you guys think? Okay, so I let my stain dry for a few days because I used an oil-based, And now I need to put some pilot holes and some countersink holes into the face of the barns. But just before I do that, I'm going to put some masking tape on here to protect the wood. Now, it probably would have been better if I did these holes before I stained the wood, but I forgot about them. Look how cupped the board is. I'm going to make a little line right where the little bottom knuckle is on both sides, so I have something to measure down from. This is another good thing about the masking tape, is now you can draw right on it. Then I'm going to come down from that line 3/4 of an inch. So about right there. I'll make another little line. You don't have to push too hard. Then I'm going to come in 3/8 of an inch right there. So that's where I'm going to make my first pilot hole and countersink hole. Then I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm just going to come up 3/4 of an inch from the bottom, which puts me about right here. And then I'm going to come in 3/8 of an inch. And then just repeat that on the other side. First, I'm going to punch these with my center punch. Then I'm going to drill it with a 3/8 inch drill bit with a depth stop on it. And it's going to stop it at about 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm going to finish the pilot hole with a 1/8 inch drill bit. And then just repeat that whole process on your second barn face. One thing I almost forgot was the hole we need for the handle. You don't need a hole, you just need a little indentation. Go in about 1/2 inch. I'm going to put a piece of tape. You could probably do all these holes before you stain it. I'm going to come down 3/4 of an inch from the peak. And like I said, in about 1/2 inch. Which is normally the thickness of the bit itself. Quabam, handle hole. And then repeat that on the other side. Just make sure you're putting it on not the side with the holes you just dug. Just make sure you're putting on not the side with the holes you just drilled, but the opposite side. Okay, so now we're going to assemble this thing. And then I'm going to show you how to really trick out the front of this. I got a couple of ideas that I did, and I hope you like them. But before that, we're going to assemble this thing. And I'm going to start by assembling the inside with just a little bit of brad nails and some wood glue. The strength of this is going to come from the screws coming through the face into all this part. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on each one of these. I have a gouge in the bottom of this rail, so I got to make sure I put that on the inside. Now I'm just going to tack these on with some pin nails. Because this is end grain, I already put some glue on here earlier. I'm just putting another little dab on so it's a little extra stronger. That didn't even make sense, sorry. Then I'm going to put the faces on like this. I'm going to throw my Harbor Freight clamps on them. You tell they're Harbor Freight ones because they got to put tape on them so they don't put oil spots on my... Oh, shit, or crap. I almost forgot the handle. All right, let me loosen up the clamps and get the handle in here. I'm going to put some glue. Now put the handle in. Re-clamp it all. All right, everything feels good. Nice and flush. Time to put the screws in. Okay, so I'm going to drill these out a little bit more so I don't split this backwood. Then I'm going to use 1 5/8 screws. These are probably drywall screws. I know a lot of people are like, you can't use drywall screws, but that ain't going to do nothing. Now I got to flip it around and just do the other side. And then don't forget about the 2 screws we put on the bottom to lock that bottom to the face. For these, I'm going to use an extension so it's easier to get to. And I'm going to use 1 1/4 screws so I don't go through the face of this. So now I want to trick this thing out and put my own spin on it. And I'm going to start by putting some trim on the roof. The top angle is 30 degrees. This angle is 30 degrees also. The middle angle where the knuckle's at, that's 15 degrees. I'm using this cutoff that I had, and this is 3/8 by 3/4 of an inch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one side to 30 degrees for this bottom. Then I'm going to bring it up to the knuckle. This piece right here should be 3 inches. But if you want to be more accurate, you could just hold it up against there. Make sure the bottom's even with this angle, and then come up here to this angle and give yourself a little mark. And then you can transfer that to the front and cut it at 15 degrees this way. This may help. Like if you marked it where you want to cut it, put another piece up against it that's cut at 15 degrees, flip it around, and then mark it. And there's your cut right there. And that's going to be the piece that goes right here. And put that piece on there. That looks really good. That's another 15 degrees on that side. Match it up here. You can nail that first one on if you want, but I'm going to sand all mine first. So I don't want to nail them on yet. And then mark it right at the peak. Now this one's cut at the 30 degree angle. So I'll put that up against there. Match that up. Make a line. Now you want to make sure the edge of this is below your line because you're going to make the line like this. So see how it continues all the way through? And then just do that all the way around. Once I get them all on the way I want, so I'm just taking them and then marking the back. So that way I know which one is which. And then I sanded them all with my belt sander, but I kind of wish I would have sanded it when it was one full piece because each individual piece, the corners kind of rounded over a little bit. I'll show you later. I'm just going to use my pin nailer with some little 3/4 inch pins to nail these on. I was trying to figure out why number 3 wasn't lining up right. And then I realized I marked and then sanded the wrong side of this one. I'm going to start by putting on the peak first because the peak is the only part that really matters. If these are a little bit long, it's okay. They can go past. You won't even notice. But at the peak, they got to be right on. I'm just going to put a little bit of wood glue. That's probably too much. I started putting it on before I was filming, so. Then I'm going to set it in place. Give it a little squeeze, wipe the little bit of glue off that comes out. And then I'm going to pin nail it on. Oh, crap, I didn't have it out all the way. I just shot a little nail out and I didn't have it. Oh. Look what I did. I didn't have it in all the way. But that's what the pin nails look like. See, it's a little tiny dot. If you sand that, it'll go away. If you just give it a little sanding. I got a little bit of squeeze out on the bottom. I always get a couple of extra Slurpee straws whenever I go to 7-Eleven because these things are nice and fat.
Just like you.
Then after I had it all nailed on, I just cleaned it up with a little 150 grit sandpaper. If you want, you could put a little CA glue on these buttons too if you have a problem with them falling out. Dag nabbit, my glue tip is dried up again. I ended up putting a little dab of wood glue in there and then adding some CA glue just to hold it until the wood glue dried. Here's a little life hack for a wood hack. Say you got some of the, you don't want to see the nails and you may have a little bit of a gap in your edges. Just put a little bit of glue in there. Put a little bit of glue. Put it in the edges. Boogers work too. Put it in this, where these two come together. Just smear a little bit of glue in there. A little tiny bit. Let the glue tack up for a second. And then just do this with a little bit of sandpaper. It's like amateur woodworker magic. The nails disappeared. Well, not the nails, the nail holes. You guys want to see my Badur moment from the project? Look at how high I drilled that one up. I have no idea how I drilled that up so high. I marked them both, what, 3/4 inch was it? Was that our measurement from the top, from the knuckle? Why is that so high? Maybe those guys in my comments were right. Maybe I should take up competitive eating and give up on my woodworking dream. I made some different style barn doors on my laser cutter. You guys tell me which ones you guys like the best. I did some of the same ones with fatter bars. These are just 2 pieces of wood, and that's actually burned into it. You can do that with a marker though, or like a pencil or something. This little 3mm plywood is really cheap. I kind of like these thick X's the best with the red behind them, but my family likes these better. Not just those. I just burned some stripes in those, and then you put the X over top of it. Here's one to show you both. X with the red or X with the stripes? Let me know in the comments, guys. So most of the people in my family picked the stripe one, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I gotta find the center, which is about right here. So for these, I'm gonna put on some crazy glue. And then I'm just gonna stick them right on there. Then I'll do the same thing with the X frame. Just put dabs of CA glue all around it. And then this is optional. I made a little one for the top up here to cover up my crappy cutout. Then I'll put some CA glue on the back of it and hold it on here for a few seconds. Bam! What do you guys think? Now I just got to repeat this whole thing on the other side. So I don't have a farm. Mine staying in the house. It's going to be a decoration. So I'm just going to put a water-based polyurethane clear coat on here, a matte finish. But if you're going to make yours for outside, you might want to put something a little stronger. So if you jump on Etsy and you type in wood harvest basket, and then you look through, that's what this thing is that we made. You can see how many of these are best sellers and popular right now. If you don't put it to best seller, there's some more that come up that are all different. But I wanted you to see what's making some of these the best seller. So let's go up to the top here. And you can see it's the customized ones. So if you could put a spin on yours and then customize it, I think you could get a best seller also. If you look on here, this one, the very first one, it says it's gone for $67. If you click on it though, and then you select a different size, a large one, which is the size I made, it goes for $92.50. This one looks like it's made out of cedar and they wrap the mesh all the way around it. So this one's a bestseller and it's a very simple design, very easy to customize it and make it your own. All right. What do you guys think? I think it came out pretty good. Other than the one little snafu I had where the one dot's higher. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what I do sometimes. I mean, it was a prototype. The next one I should get better. This one I'm gonna keep for myself. It's probably gonna go above our cabinets. I wanna make another one for my elderly neighbor. She really loves eggplants and she's always sending me eggplant emojis for some reason. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys would have done differently in the comments. I love when you guys tell me, hey, I would have done this, I would have done that. Because like I said, this is my prototype, so I can always add that stuff to the next one. I get a lot of great ideas in the comments. If you guys are gonna build one, check out the comments. Because some people say stuff and I'm like, man, I didn't even think of that. That's genius. And if you guys like the video, please give me a little like. Make sure you guys are subscribed if you're not. And until next time, get to building.
Well, that was a massive waste of time.